I'm going to ask you this, just once. Who's the baddest shark around? You're making me repeat myself. Now, let's try this again. Who's the coolest shark in town? Sky-Byte. That's me.
It's Shark Week, and I felt like making something topical and pandering, so lucky for me, a new shark transformer just came out. This is Generation Sky-Byte, now featuring his IDW appearance. Mostly. Close enough. Like the original toy, his beast mode's based on a great white shark, but the original toy mixed the realistic shark with cyborg enhancements. Here, while he's still got Borg implants bursting out of his skin, his entire body is clearly robotic, with few spots even being smooth, let alone looking organic. The result is a heavily detailed, asymmetric look, which is what I liked so much about his original toy. Less of the look is being accomplished by paint this time around. The blue and gray molded parts do most of the work, with little airbrushing, which adds to the more mechanical aesthetic. If I have any issue with the deco, it's what's missing. Some patches of mech detail are left untouched, and the small dots of color throughout the original are missing now. The lack of airbrushing also hurts the head, where the molding is done great. Love the crazy eyes on him. But for the robot mode, the entire thing is painted cyan blue. This leaves the shark mode looking like his head is tacked on, like it's from a different toy entirely, especially being the only thing on the toy in this color. What about playability? There is a working spin gimmick, similar to the original Sky-Byte, but much faster, working like a prop on a boat. In that sense, the gimmick actually works better here than the original. In this mode, there's no real articulation on him aside from his jaw opening and his tail, which is hinged so he can tighten his arch. Which I guess I should mention, shouldn't I? The mold gives him the look of a great white jumping out of the water, and you've probably noticed by now, the beast mode doesn't quite look right when it's laying down. A shark with no legs is a shark who cannot stand. He will need some help. Help comes in the form of this hexagon-shaped peg hole on his belly, the same that has been popping up on more and more Transformers lately. This port's compatible with Japanese display stages, in particular Bandai's Tamashii stages. Some places overseas offer non-Bandai versions free with a big enough Transformer purchase, but for most, $20 on eBay will net you a set of 3, which are very handy to have. Normally, I wouldn't suggest it, but Sky-Byte's Beast Mode really does look great when it's raised up. It's true to the original concept, while still doing things its own way. It's not a recreation, it's a new take, and I can appreciate the differences. But to display it for those differences, he needs to be mounted, like any other fish you'd be proud of finding. Transforming him to robot mode is fairly involved. He's got some old school panel forming, as well as new school parts made from those panels. It's vastly different from the original, which really makes it feel like a new toy and not just a retread. I will say, getting him back to beast mode from robot mode involves one of those transformations I hate, with interlocking tabs on multiple sides of the panels, where I always feel like something's ready to snap off if it's not perfectly lined up. It's fidgety, but at the least there's a lot less panel forming going on here, and actually, some of it kinda useful. Transforming Sky-Byte is plastic origami. Many parts will fold. Sky-Byte in robot mode is quite a sight. All the elements of the original are there, but he's been beefed up significantly. One thing I have to give shellformers, they hide a lot when they're in alt mode. Something I give modern shellformers, they work it so much better than the Beast Wars days. Sky-Byte's sporting a lot more of his signature yellow here, creating the vibrant blue, yellow, and silver mix he's known for. His new parts are a lot more symmetrical than his Beast mode, going against his Transmetal 2 origins, but there's enough of the shark left here to get the aesthetic across. What helps is how close the color layout is to the original, as well as all the must-have details like the tail arm and the mohawk fin. Seriously, the head mold alone on this toy makes me happy it was made. That toothy maw is way closer to the anime than the original, and it's just an awesome sculpt regardless. But let's talk about the rest of the detail. I like how the spark crystal flips out from the shark snout, giving his chest a more robotic look and presenting some accurate details at the same time. Also happy to see they worked some hinges into the claw. It's not quite the same, but it still looks good and it isn't as oversized as the original. The other arm's made of panels, as they're doing more often. They lock in place at the hinges, but nothing tabs together, so it's a little less solid than usual. That and it's a permanent bicep curler. While the engineering is generally very solid, the legs are problematic. The shins are made of shark shell and struts, little else, and even from the front, they don't look as solid as the rest of the toy. Also, the tolerances here are hit and miss. The struts are supposed to clip in at the knee, but they don't do it tightly enough, especially if the knee joints are good. The struts tend to pop off as you try to bend the knee. Speaking of, this guy's articulated really nicely. The neck rotates, the shoulders are universal, biceps rotate, and while the right elbow's limited, the weapon arm has great range. The hips are universal, the thighs rotate, the knees get good range, and the ankles tilt back and forth. The feet do cause issue with some poses since the inside edge of the feet aren't flat, but they're pretty big, so most positions will hold up. I have no line here. I regret the haiku theme. This bit's getting old. Let's get to the obvious part, that back kibble. How I've got him now is the way the instructions want me to arrange the shell, making him an iron butterfly, but there's quite a few hinges in there to play with, and set them how you want, including having it extend off the sides like the original toy. But we can also tighten it up, along with the ball-jointed pectoral fins, into this configuration, which I vastly prefer. It cleans him up a lot and gives him the look of sashimono, those banners that samurais wear, which seems appropriate for him. There's so much play in these parts, it evolves from shell kibble into a feature itself. For intentional features though, the spin trigger in the arm still works, and in this mode, the firing missile is of use, unless you need rear-firing missiles on your shark anyway. And if you've still got your new Tamashii stage with you, he's got a port on his back for some dynamic aerial poses. So let's summarize in a minute what has, to this point, taken me 8 minutes and 37 seconds to explain. Sky-Byte might be my favorite looking Transformer this year. He's loaded with detail in both modes, has a lot of personality to his sculpt, and is a great new take on the old concept. He is problematic though, from the desk-flopping beast pose to the flimsy robot mode legs. Not gonna lie, this is a toy that needed to include a display stage, but he's still got enough going for him to look past the negatives and really enjoy the positives. RID fans will be getting this the second they see it, but he's a fun toy for anyone needing more cyborg sharks in their lives. Now, place your bets. Hasbro, Takara, or TFCC. Who's crazy enough to repaint him into Cyber Shark first?